Your thoughts, those private whispers of imagination and belief, are your paintbrush. And every single day, without even realizing it, you're dipping that brush into the palette of your mind and painting the story of your life. Think about that. Your life is a canvas. Right now, this very moment, you're the artist, the creator. So I ask you, what masterpiece are you creating? And more importantly, are you bold enough to expand the edges of that canvas? See, most of us live as if we've been handed a pre-drawn template. We're told, stay within these lines, but who gave you those lines? Who decided what your edges should be? Here's the truth: those lines, those limits, they're illusions. They're stories you've been told, and more often than not, they're stories you've chosen to believe. But let me tell you something. You can pick up the brush and start painting something entirely new right now. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes and imagine a canvas stretched endlessly in all directions. No edges, no boundaries, just infinite space for you to create. Can you feel the freedom in that? That's the power of your thoughts. They can take you to the edges of possibility and then push you beyond. But here's the catch: if you keep dipping your brush into doubt, fear, or the belief that you're not enough, what kind of masterpiece will you create? Let's get real. Too many of us are painting in shades of I can't, I'm not, or I shouldn't. We splash on streaks of comparison and insecurity, then wonder why the picture feels unfinished, unremarkable. But what happens if, just for today, you choose bold colors, vibrant reds of courage, deep blues of peace, and shimmering golds of self-love? What happens then? Mindfulness is the key. It's how you steady the hand that holds the brush. It's the practice of pausing, noticing, and choosing with intention. Because, my friend, here's the secret: clarity doesn't come from rushing to paint something just to fill the space. It comes from standing back, taking a breath, and deciding deliberately what you want to create. Let me tell you about a man I met years ago. He was a brilliant artist by trade, but he'd lost his way. He told me, "Wayne, I've been staring at this blank canvas for months, paralyzed. I don't even know where to start." And I said to him, "Start anywhere. Put down a single brushstroke, but do it with intention. Let that one stroke tell the story of what you want to feel, to express, to become." He hesitated, but then he took a deep breath, dipped his brush in a color that spoke to him, and began. Do you know what happened? That one stroke turned into 2, then 20, then 100. Soon, his entire canvas came to life. And isn't that how life works? We freeze up, afraid of making the wrong move, painting the wrong picture. But mindfulness teaches us that there's no such thing as the wrong stroke when it's made with purpose. Even your so-called mistakes become part of the masterpiece. The smudge becomes texture. The flaw becomes beauty. Now, I want you to think about the last time you felt overwhelmed by your own thoughts. Maybe it was this morning. Maybe it's right now. Your mind was racing, and it felt like you were splattering paint everywhere, creating a mess instead of a masterpiece. Here's the truth: you're not alone in that, but you don't have to live in chaos. Take a moment right now and imagine you're holding the brush. See it in your hand. Feel its weight. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Will you paint with the frantic strokes of worry and stress, or will you pause, breathe, and begin again? Every moment is a new chance to start fresh. Here's a little exercise to try today. Whenever your mind starts running wild, close your eyes and picture the canvas. Picture yourself dipping your brush into the richest, most vibrant color you can imagine. Maybe it's the color of peace, or gratitude, or love. Imagine making a single, deliberate stroke across the canvas. It doesn't matter what it looks like. What matters is how it feels. Feel the calm, the intention behind it. That's mindfulness. That's painting with clarity. And let me tell you something powerful: when you paint your inner world with mindfulness, it spills over into everything else. Suddenly, your relationships start to shift. You're more present with your loved ones, more compassionate with strangers. Your work transforms because you're not just going through the motions, you're creating with purpose. Even the way you speak to yourself changes. The harsh criticism softens into understanding. The doubt melts into quiet confidence. Remember this: every brushstroke counts. even the small ones, especially the small ones. The way you greet the day matters, the way you respond to challenges matters, the way you look in the mirror and say, I'm enough, that matters. But don't just take my word for it. Look around you. Look at the people who seem truly at peace, truly alive. They're not painting by accident. They're not splashing on colors in the dark. They've learned to slow down, to choose their colors with care, to paint with intention. And you can too. So ask yourself, what masterpiece am I creating today? And if you don't like the answer, remember you can always pick up the brush and begin again. Because the beauty of life is this: the canvas is never truly finished. You are always becoming, always creating, always evolving. Now, what will you paint next? When the noise of the world fades, the music of your soul begins. Think about that for a moment. We spend so much of our lives surrounded by noise, external chatter, internal dialogue, endless to-do lists, and the hum of distractions. It's as if we're tuned into a station filled with static, straining to hear a melody we know is there, but we just can't find. But here's the beautiful truth: the melody has never left. It's been playing all along. Meditation is how you turn the dial, silence the chaos, and tune into the wisdom within. Close your eyes for a moment. Just imagine this: a deep, still lake on a quiet morning. The surface is smooth, like glass, reflecting the sky above. No ripples, no disturbances. That lake is your mind when you meditate. Still, calm, and perfectly clear. When you live in that space, even for just a few moments each day, you begin to hear what's always been there: your own truth, your own clarity, your own divine wisdom. Most of us live like we're standing in the middle of a crowded marketplace, trying to listen to a soft, beautiful symphony in the distance. It's there, but we can't quite hear it over the shouting, the distractions, the noise of modern life. But here's the secret: the symphony isn't far away. It's inside you, waiting for you to quiet the marketplace of your mind. And meditation, that's the key. That's the key. That's how you step out of the chaos and into the music. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a woman who told me she felt completely lost. She said, "Wayne, my life is so loud. I'm juggling work, family, expectations. I've lost touch with who I am." And I asked her one simple question: when was the last time you sat in silence and just listened? She looked at me confused and said, "Listen to what?" And I told her, "To yourself, to the voice inside that knows what you need, what you love, what you're here for." She'd been so busy searching for answers in the noise around her, she'd forgotten the answers were already within. That's what meditation does. It reminds you that you are your own compass. It connects you to the wisdom that's been whispering to you all along beneath the static. But here's the thing: silence can be intimidating. Most people are so used to the noise that the thought of sitting quietly feels almost impossible. What if my thoughts overwhelm me, they ask. What if I can't stop the chatter? Let me tell you something: meditation isn't about stopping your thoughts. It's about noticing them, letting them pass, and realizing they don't define you. You are not your thoughts. You are the space behind them, the observer. That's where your power lies. Now, I want you to picture this: you're sitting by a stream and leaves are floating by on the water. Each leaf represents a thought, an idea, a worry, a memory. Meditation isn't about grabbing the leaves or stopping the flow of the stream. It's about sitting on the bank, watching the leaves drift by without attaching to them. When you do that, you create space. And in that space, clarity emerges. Here's something that might surprise you: the world doesn't need your constant effort. It doesn't need you to fix every problem or have every answer right now. What it needs is your presence, your centered, grounded, deeply connected presence. And you can only offer that when you've taken the time to quiet the noise and listen to yourself. Think about your favorite piece of music: the notes, the harmonies, the rhythm. They're beautiful, yes, but what makes music truly magical is the space between the notes, the silence. Meditation is that space. It's what gives your life its rhythm, its harmony. Without it, everything feels rushed, chaotic, out of tune. But when you create that space, everything flows. Let's get practical for a moment. You might be thinking, "Wayne, I don't have time to sit in silence. My life is too busy." But here's the thing: meditation doesn't require hours of your day. Start small. 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just focus on that breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, filling you with life, and then leaving, carrying away tension and stress. That's it. Inhale. Exhale. Let the world fade away and listen. And here's the magic: those few minutes create a ripple effect. You start your day grounded, and suddenly the challenges don't feel so overwhelming. You react less and respond more. You see things with fresh eyes because you've given yourself the gift of clarity. The noise fades, and the music of your soul takes center stage. I remember a moment in my own life when meditation became my lifeline. I was going through a challenging time, feeling pulled in 100 directions, my mind racing. One evening I sat down, closed my eyes, and just breathed. At first, the thoughts came fast and loud like a storm, but then slowly they began to settle. And in the stillness, I heard something, not a voice, not words, but a feeling of knowing. It was peace. And it reminded me, no matter how chaotic life feels, there's always a still point within. You just have to return to it. The world will always be loud. There will always be demands, distractions, and things vying for your attention. But you don't have to live at the mercy of that noise. You can choose to step away, to turn inward, to reconnect with the infinite wisdom inside you. That's the gift of meditation. It doesn't just quiet the chaos, it tunes you into the part of you that knows who you are, why you're here, and what truly matters. So let me ask you, when the noise fades, what will you hear? What truths are waiting for you in the silence? And more importantly, are you ready to listen? Clarity isn't something you find, it's something you uncover. It's not hiding out there in the world, waiting for you to stumble across it like a lost set of keys. No, clarity is already here, within you, beneath the layers. It's like a diamond buried deep beneath the soil of stress, distraction, and noise. And here's the beautiful part: the moment you start to peel away those layers, you begin to see it shine. Let's get honest for a second. How many of us live our lives in a constant state of fog? We wake up and dive straight into the noise, emails, social media, deadlines. It's like trying to look through a dirty window. We're searching for answers, for purpose, for peace, but everything feels blurry. And the more we search out there, the more lost we feel. Sound familiar? Now here's the shift I want you to make. Clarity isn't out there. It's not something you have to chase. It's something you allow. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a lake. When the surface is disturbed, when the wind of worry blows, when the storms of overthinking rage, the water becomes murky. But when the wind dies down, when the storm passes, the water settles. And what happens? The clarity beneath reveals itself. You see the rocks, the sand, the vibrant life that was always there waiting for you to notice. So let me ask you, when was the last time you allowed your mind to settle? When was the last time you gave yourself permission to stop stirring the water? Most of us are so busy trying to solve the chaos in our minds that we forget the simplest truth, the peace, the answers, the clarity. It's already within us. But you've got to stop stirring. And this is where mindfulness and meditation come in. They're not just practices, they're tools. Tools for gently peeling back the layers of stress one by one. Tools for stepping out of the storm and finding the stillness inside. Think of mindfulness as a flashlight. It shines a light into the dark corners of your mind, helping you see what's really there, not what your fears or distractions want you to believe. Let me share a quick story. A woman once came to me overwhelmed and exhausted. She said, "Wayne, I've been searching for clarity for years. I've tried everything, books, workshops, you name it, but I'm still stuck." And I asked her, when was the last time you sat with yourself? Not to analyze, not to fix, just to be. She looked at me confused. But what would that do, she asked. And I said, everything. You see, clarity isn't about figuring everything out. It's about quieting the noise long enough to feel what's already true. That woman took my advice. She started meditating for just 10 minutes a day. At first, she said it felt like nothing was happening, just her and a sea of random thoughts. But then one day she noticed something, a sense of calm. Not from the outside world, but from within her. And with that calm came inside answers to questions she didn't even know she was asking. And here's the thing, you don't need to meditate for hours on end to experience this. It's not about how long you sit, it's about how deeply you're willing to let go. Let go of the distractions. Let go of the need to control every outcome. Let go of the belief that clarity is somewhere else in someone else's hands. It's not, it's yours. Now, let's make this practical. Close your eyes for a moment, yes, right now, if you can, and take a deep breath in. Feel the air filling your lungs, expanding your chest. Hold it for a moment, and then let it go. As you exhale, imagine the layers of stress peeling away. The worries about tomorrow, the regrets about yesterday, watch them dissolve just for now. What's left? That quietness you're feeling, that's the beginning of clarity. That's your peaceful core. And here's the hook, that peaceful core. It's always there. It doesn't vanish when life gets chaotic. It doesn't disappear when things don't go your way. It's as permanent and unshakable as the sky above the clouds. The clouds may come and go, but the sky, the essence of you, is always clear, always present, always waiting. I know some of you might be thinking, but Wayne, I don't have time to sit and meditate. My life is too busy, and I get it, life can be demanding. But let me ask you this, if you don't have time to clear the fog, how will you ever see the path ahead? Even a few minutes of stillness each day can change everything. Think of it as sharpening your tools before you start the work. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Let's talk about distractions for a moment. We live in a world that thrives on keeping us distracted. Every ping of your phone, every headline, every piece of unsolicited advice, it's like someone adding another layer of dirt to your window. But here's the good news, you don't have to clean the whole window at once. Start with a small patch. Turn off the noise for a few minutes. Breathe. Notice what's happening inside you. That's mindfulness. And over time, that small patch of clarity will grow until one day you realize the whole window is clear. One of the most powerful lessons mindfulness teaches us is this: you are not your thoughts, you are not your stress, you are not the distractions, you are the observer. The one who watches the thoughts come and go, the one who chooses which thoughts to entertain and which to release. And when you start to identify with the observer instead of the noise, something magical happens. You stop reacting to life and you start responding to it with purpose, with intention, with clarity. I want you to think about this. Every layer of stress you peel away brings you closer to your true self, the self that isn't weighed down by fear or comparison, the self that knows deep down that you're already enough. Beneath the layers, you are whole, you are complete. And when you operate from that place, from your peaceful core, you don't just see the world more clearly. You create from a place of clarity. You make decisions that align with your heart. You build relationships that nourish your soul. You step into a life that feels authentically yours. So I ask you, what layers are you ready to peel away today? And what will you uncover when you do? Clarity isn't waiting for you out there. It's waiting for you right here, beneath it all. Are you ready to find it? Or rather, are you ready to uncover it? Life is only ever happening now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right here in this moment. Think about that for a second. Everything you've ever experienced, everything you've ever felt, it didn't happen in some distant abstraction of the past or the future. It happened in the now and this very moment. This is where life is unfolding. Are you here for it? Or are you somewhere else, lost in a story about what was or what might be? It's so easy to miss this truth, isn't it? We carry the weight of the past like a suitcase we forgot to unpack. We project ourselves into the future, imagining, planning, worrying, and in doing so, we overlook the only thing that's real this moment. This breath, this feeling, but mindfulness is the doorway that lets you step fully into the now. It's not some esoteric concept, it's the practice of being awake to your own life as it's happening. And let me tell you, it's where the magic lies. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath in right now. Feel it fill your lungs. Exhale slowly. Did you notice it? Did you truly feel that breath? Or was your mind already pulling you somewhere else? Because that's what it does, doesn't it? The mind is a restless traveler, always trying to drag you out of this moment. But mindfulness says, come back. Stay here. Everything you need is right here. Let me share a story with you. Years ago, I was walking on the beach. It was one of those perfect mornings, the sun just rising, the waves gently lapping at the shore. But my mind wasn't on the beach. I was thinking about a meeting I had later that day, replaying an argument I'd had the week before, planning 100 things that hadn't even happened yet. And then, out of nowhere, a little boy ran past me chasing a seagull. He was laughing, completely absorbed in the moment, not a care in the world, and it hit me that's what it means to live fully. That little boy wasn't worried about yesterday or tomorrow. He was fully alive, fully present, chasing a bird across the sand. How often do we miss the beauty of life because we're not here for it? We eat a meal, but we're scrolling on our phones. We sit with a loved one, but our minds are a million miles away. We wake up in the morning, and instead of feeling the miracle of being alive, we start ticking off a mental to-do list. And then we wonder why life feels so rushed, so empty. But here's the truth: life isn't rushing by. We are the ones rushing past life. Mindfulness asks us to slow down, to notice, to savor. It's not about adding something new to your day. It's about fully experiencing what's already there. Drinking your morning coffee. Taste it. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. Hear the sound of the liquid as it pours. It's not about the coffee, it's about the moment. And when you're present, even the simplest moments become extraordinary. Have you ever noticed how time seems to stretch when you're truly present? Think about the last time you were completely absorbed in something, a sunset, a conversation, a piece of music. Time seemed to pause, didn't it? That's because when you're fully present, you step out of the mental chatter about past and future. You enter the eternal now, where life is rich, full, vibrant. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The mind loves to resist mindfulness. It says, but what about all the things you need to figure out? What about all the problems you need to solve? The mind wants to keep you busy, distracted, anywhere but here. But let me tell you something, no problem was ever solved in the past or the future. Solutions arise in the now. Clarity arises in the now. Peace arises in the now. So the question isn't, how can I fix everything at once? The question is, can I bring my full attention to this moment right now? And it's not just about peace, it's about power. Because when you're fully present, you have access to your true strength. Have you ever seen an athlete in the zone, a musician lost in their craft? They're not thinking about the past or worrying about the future. They're fully immersed in the moment. And that's where their brilliance flows. You have that same power. It's waiting for you in the now. But let's get practical. How do you actually become present? How do you train your mind to stay here instead of wandering off? Start small. Start with your breath. The breath is always happening in the now. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. Every inhale, every exhale anchors you to this moment. So whenever you catch your mind drifting, gently bring it back to your breath, not with judgment, but with kindness. Like a parent guiding a curious child back to safety. Here's another tool: engage your senses. Right now, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? The mind loves to live in abstractions, but your senses pull you into reality. When you're walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you're eating, taste the food as if it's the first time you've ever eaten it. When you're listening to someone, really listen not just to their words, but to their energy, their presence. And here's a thought that might surprise you. Mindfulness isn't about silencing the mind. It's not about erasing thoughts or forcing yourself to be zen. It's about observing your thoughts without getting swept away by them. Imagine you're sitting by a river watching leaves float by. Each thought is a leaf. You don't have to chase the leaves. You don't have to grab them. Just watch them float and let them go. That's mindfulness. It's not about controlling the river. It's about learning to sit peacefully by its banks. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great in theory, Wayne, but what about real life? What about when life gets messy? That's the beauty of mindfulness. It's for the messy moments too. When you're stuck in traffic, when your child is throwing a tantrum, when the unexpected throws you off course, those are the moments to practice. Those are the moments to say, okay, this is what's happening right now. Can I be present with it? Can I meet it with awareness instead of resistance? And here's the thing, when you're present, even the challenges of life transform. You stop fighting against what is, and you start flowing with it. You realize that peace isn't something you have to find, it's something you create by choosing to be here now. So I'll ask you this: if life is only ever happening now, why would you want to be anywhere else? Meditation isn't about emptying the mind, it's about filling it with the present. Let that sink in for a moment. You see, there's this persistent myth that meditation is some elusive state where you silence every thought, where your mind becomes a blank slate and the world fades away. But that's not what it's about. Meditation is about anchoring yourself so deeply in the here and now that everything else, the noise, the distractions, the clutter simply falls away. It's not the absence of thought. It's the presence of clarity. Have you ever stood in the middle of a storm and found that rare moment of stillness? That's what meditation feels like. The storm of life doesn't disappear your job, your worries, your relationships, they're all still there. But suddenly you find the eye of the storm, that calm, steady place where you can see everything for what it really is. And in that clarity, there's peace. Think about how we live most of our days. We're everywhere except where we are. Our minds dart from the past, rehashing old mistakes, replaying conversations to the future, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. It's like trying to drive while staring at the rearview mirror and the horizon at the same time. No wonder we feel scattered, exhausted, and lost. But here's the truth: the road you're traveling is right under your feet. And meditation is how you look down and remember how to walk it. Pause with me for a second. Take a deep breath. Really feel it, the coolness as it enters your nose, the warmth as it leaves. That's presence. That's the simple power of being here now. When you focus on the breath, you're not emptying your mind, you're filling it with awareness. You're tuning into the only moment that's real, this one. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a woman who said to me, "Wayne, I've tried meditation, but my mind is like a runaway train. I can't stop the thoughts." And I told her, "You're not supposed to stop the train. You're supposed to step off the tracks and watch it go by." You see, meditation isn't about wrestling your thoughts into submission. It's about changing your relationship with them. When you meditate, you become the observer, not the thinker. And from that space of observation, clarity arises not because you've emptied your mind, but because you've stopped being tangled in its chaos. Now, I want you to imagine this: your mind is a glass of water, cloudy with sediment swirling all around. That's how most of us live, stirring the water constantly with busyness, worry, distraction. But when you meditate, it's like setting the glass down. You don't force the sediment to settle, you simply allow it to. And slowly, as the water clears, you begin to see through it. That's clarity. It's not something you create, it's something you uncover by being present. But let's get practical. How do you do it? How do you stop stirring the water? It starts with a simple act of attention. Right now, look around you. Notice the details, the way the light falls on the walls, the texture of the air, the sounds in the distance. Now bring that same attention inward. Feel the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. Notice the rhythm of your heartbeat. You don't have to change anything, just notice. That's meditation. It's not an escape, it's a return to your body, your breath, your being. And here's the beautiful part. The more you practice presence, the more it spills over into the rest of your life. Suddenly, you're not just half listening to your partner while scrolling on your phone, you're fully there, hearing every word, seeing every expression. You're not gulping down your coffee on autopilot, you're tasting it, savoring its warmth. Life becomes richer, deeper, more vivid. That's the gift of presence. It's not about doing more, it's about being more. But let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you might be thinking, "Wayne, I don't have time to meditate," and I get it. We live in a world that celebrates hustle, where being busy is worn like a badge of honor. But here's the irony: the busier you are, the more you need this. Meditation doesn't take time from your day, it gives time back to you. When you start your morning with even 5 minutes of stillness, you're no longer running on a hamster wheel of stress. You're responding to life with clarity, not reacting to it in panic. Let me share another story. A friend of mine, a high-powered executive, once told me, "I'm too busy to meditate," so I asked him, "How many minutes a day do you spend worrying, overthinking, or regretting?" He laughed and said, "Probably hours." And I said, "Then you have time to meditate. The point isn't to add something to your plate, it's to clear the clutter off it." And here's the thing: meditation doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't need a special cushion, a sacred mantra, or the perfect posture. You can meditate while walking, while washing the dishes, even while waiting in line at the grocery store. Presence doesn't need a stage, it just needs your attention. Right now, let's try a quick practice together. Wherever you are, stop for a moment. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the air on your skin. Listen for the subtlest sound in your environment. Maybe it's the hum of a fan, the chirp of a bird, or even just the sound of your own breath. That's it. You've just meditated. No fuss, no ceremony, just presence. And isn't that the essence of life, to be fully here, fully alive? Clarity doesn't come from running faster or doing more. It comes from pausing, from grounding yourself in this moment, from realizing that everything you've been searching for is already here. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember this meditation isn't about escaping your thoughts, it's about meeting them with presence. It's about filling your mind not with noise, but with awareness. And in that awareness, you'll find the peace, the clarity, the stillness you've been longing for. Every breath you take is an opportunity to reset your mind. Think about that for a moment. Right now, as you listen to these words, there's this gentle rhythm moving through you, a breath coming in, a breath going out. And here's the miracle: with every single inhale, you're offered a fresh start. Every single exhale, a release. It's a gift we so often overlook, yet it's always there, ready to transform the way we experience this moment. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly noticed your breath? Not just felt it in passing, but really tuned and aware of the cool air entering your nose, the warmth as it leaves, the rise and fall of your chest. For most of us, that awareness rarely happens. Our minds are busy spinning stories about the past or projecting fears into the future. And while we're caught up in those stories, we miss the profound simplicity of the now. But here's the truth: the present moment, this very breath, is where your power lives. It's the anchor that keeps you steady in the storm. It's the reset button that's always within reach. And through mindfulness, you can learn to press that button anytime you need it. I want you to think of your breath as a bridge. On one side of the bridge is chaos, stress, overwhelm, the never-ending noise of the world. On the other side is clarity, calm, peace, the freedom to just be. The beauty of mindfulness is that you don't have to build the bridge, it's already there. All you have to do is cross it, and the way you cross it. One mindful breath at a time. Here's a simple truth I've discovered: no matter how overwhelming life feels, you can't hold on to tension while being fully present with your breath. Try it. Right now, take a deep inhale and let it out slowly. Feel that? That's the reset. That's the moment where everything pauses, where the weight you've been carrying begins to lift, even if just for a second. Now let's get honest for a moment. How often do you rush through your day on autopilot, completely disconnected from the here and now? You wake up, check your phone, scroll through emails, gulp down coffee, and before you know it, the day's over. And yet, if someone asked you, how did you feel today, you might struggle to answer. Why? Because you weren't fully there. You weren't present enough to notice. But here's the good news: mindfulness doesn't ask for hours of your time. It doesn't demand a perfect environment or years of practice. It only asks for one thing: your attention. Just one moment of focus on your breath can shift your entire perspective. And when you string those moments together, they create a life that feels fuller, richer, and infinitely more alive. Let me share a story with you. A friend of mine once came to me overwhelmed by the chaos of his life. He said, "Wayne, my mind feels like a runaway train, and I don't know how to stop it." So I asked him, "What's the first thing you do when you wake up?" He said, "I grabbed my phone," and I said, "There's your answer. You're letting the world into your mind before you've even claimed your own space." I told him, "Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, just sit up in bed and take 3 deep breaths. That's it. Nothing fancy, just 3 breaths." He laughed and said, "Wayne, how's that going to fix anything?" But he promised to try. And do you know what happened? Those 3 breaths turned into 5 minutes of quiet, then 10. And within a month, he wasn't waking up to chaos anymore, he was waking up to clarity. This is what mindfulness does. It doesn't solve all your problems overnight, but it changes how you show up to those problems. It gives you the space to respond instead of react. And it all starts with something as simple as a single breath. I want you to try something with me right now. Close your eyes if you can. If not, just soften your gaze. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment. And now let it out slowly. As you exhale, imagine all the tension in your body leaving with that breath. Feel your shoulders relax, your jaw unclench, your mind quiet just a little. That's the power of mindfulness. It's not about escaping life, it's about meeting life with presence. Here's something I've learned: most of the stress we carry doesn't come from the things happening around us. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves about those things. I'll never get this done, what if I fail? Why did they say that to me? But when you come back to your breath, those stories lose their grip. They become background noise, and in their place you find clarity. Think about a snow globe. When you shake it, the flakes swirl in every direction. It's beautiful, but chaotic. That's your mind when it's filled with distractions and worries. But when you set the globe down and let it be, the snow settles, and you can see the scene clearly. Your breath is the hand that sets the snow globe down. It's the pause that lets the chaos settle so you can see what's truly there. Now, here's where it gets even more powerful. The more you practice mindfulness, the more it becomes second nature. You start to notice your breath not just in quiet moments, but in the middle of life's storms. That argument with a loved one, you pause and breathe before saying something you'll regret. That overwhelming to-do list. You take a breath and tackle one task at a time. Even in moments of joy, mindfulness lets you savor the experience instead of rushing through it. I'm reminded of something I once read: inhale the future, exhale the past. It's a beautiful reminder that with every breath, you're choosing where to place your energy. You can't change what's already happened, and you can't control what hasn't come yet. But you can choose how to be in this moment. And this moment, this breath, is all there ever really is. So I ask you, how are you breathing right now? Is it shallow and rushed, like you're running from one thing to the next? Or is it slow, steady, intentional? If it's the former, don't worry, you're not alone. But the fact that you're listening to this right now means you're ready to shift. You're ready to claim your breath, your presence, your power. Let me leave you with this thought: mindfulness isn't about perfection. It's not about sitting cross-legged on mountaintop with an empty mind. It's about being human. It's about noticing when you're lost in thought and gently bringing yourself back. It's about realizing that every breath is a chance to begin again. And the best part, you don't need anything to start. You don't need a guru, a guide, or even a quiet room. All you need is your breath. It's been with you from the moment you were born, and it will be with you until your very last moment. So why not let it be your anchor? Why not let it remind you of the peace, the clarity, the power that's already within you? Breathe in, breathe out, reset. This moment is yours. What will you do with it? When you master your focus, you unlock the power to create the life you want. Think about that for a moment. Your focus, the energy you give to the thoughts, the feelings, the moments, is the architect of your reality. If your focus is scattered, bouncing from worry to distraction, what kind of life are you building? But when your focus is clear, steady, and intentional, you can create something extraordinary. And here's the truth that most people don't realize: meditation is the gateway to that mastery. It's not just about sitting still or calming your mind, it's about training your focus, sharpening it like a blade so you can cut through the noise of life and direct your energy exactly where it needs to go. Meditation gives you the keys, my friend, and the best part, you don't have to be an expert to start. You just start where you are. Let's break this down. Every day your mind is like a wild river. Thoughts rushing here and there, currents pulling you in every direction. It's easy to get swept away, isn't it? You think about the bills. You think about what someone said to you last week. You think about the list of things you need to get done today. And before you know it, you're exhausted, not because of what's happening in the world, but because your focus has been drained by the chaos in your mind. But here's the shift. What if you could calm that river? What if you could guide it, direct it, and harness its power instead of being swept away? That's what meditation does. It doesn't stop the river, it teaches you how to sit by the bank and watch the water flow without jumping in every time a thought rushes by. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, Wayne, I've tried meditating, but my mind just won't stop. It's like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. Let me tell you something, everyone starts there. That's part of the journey. The goal of meditation isn't to have a perfectly silent mind, it's to become aware of the noise and choose how you respond to it. That awareness, that's the spark of focus. Here's a little story for you. There was a woman I met at one of my talks, and she told me, Wayne, my life feels like it's spiraling out of control. I can't focus on anything because my mind is always racing. I asked her, how much time do you spend each day just sitting with yourself? No phone, no TV, no distractions, just you. She laughed and said, I don't have time for that. And I told her, you don't have time not to. Your mind is like a garden. If you never tend to it, weeds will take over. But if you spend just a few minutes each day pulling those weeds, watering the flowers, imagine the beauty you could create. So she started small, 5 minutes a day, sitting quietly, focusing on her breath. At first it felt strange, even uncomfortable. But over time, something amazing happened. She began to notice patterns in her thoughts. She became less reactive, more centered. And eventually she told me, Wayne, it's like I've reclaimed my power. I'm no longer at the mercy of my mind, I'm directing it. And isn't that what we all want? To reclaim our power? To move through life with clarity instead of chaos. You see, focus is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it becomes weak. But if you work on it even just a little each day, it becomes your greatest strength. Meditation is your training ground. It's where you practice bringing your attention back over and over again until it becomes second nature. Let me give you a simple practice to try. Close your eyes and take a deep breath right now. Feel the air filling your lungs, and as you exhale, let go of any tension you're holding. Now bring your attention to the present moment, not yesterday, not tomorrow, just now. What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you notice? This is the practice of focus, anchoring yourself in the here and now. And the more you do it, the more powerful it becomes. Here's the kicker: once you master your focus, everything changes. Your relationships improve because you're fully present with the people you love. Your work becomes more fulfilling because you're not distracted by 1,000 little things. Even your inner dialogue shifts. Instead of being filled with self-doubt or judgment, it becomes a space of clarity and confidence. Now think about this, the world we live in today is full of distractions. Every beep of your phone, every headline, every shiny object is vying for your attention, and if you let it, the world will pull your focus in 100 different directions. But meditation teaches you how to take back control. It's like building a fortress around your mind where you decide what gets in and what doesn't. And here's the beautiful paradox of focus: the more you master it, the more freedom you feel, because you're no longer reacting to life, you're creating it. Imagine waking up every morning and saying, this is what I'm choosing to focus on today. This is what matters to me. How liberating would that be? But remember, it all starts where you are. You don't need the perfect setup or the perfect technique. You just need a willingness to begin. Sit down, close your eyes and breathe. Let your thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. Some days your mind will be calm. Other days it'll feel like a storm. And that's okay. The point isn't perfection, it's practice. So I'll leave you with this: every moment you spend in meditation, you're planting a seed of clarity, of focus, of intentionality. And those seeds grow into the life you want. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Because when you master your focus, you unlock the power to create the masterpiece that is your life. What will you focus on today? Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more motivational content. Share your thoughts in the comments below.